Welcome to Heather Ewing, the CRE. Today, we have a great guest for you, and we are going to peel the layers back on mindfulness. It's something you've read about, you hear about it, you see it on LinkedIn, and it's scattered across social media. But today, we're going to give you a few insights and tips. And with that, we have Aaron Hendon. He is the mindfulness CEO. And Aaron, welcome.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Definitely. I'm glad you're available and we were able to jump on. So, before we get going, if you could give an introduction of yourself to my audience, and then that way they get to learn a little bit more about you.
Sure. Sure. Well, I'm something of a serial entrepreneur. I started like all entrepreneurs in art school. I don't know if that's true or not, but I started in art school and then moved to Albuquerque, ran a bakery for a while, started a bread and bagel shop. I'm originally from New York, so I sold bagels in Albuquerque. Went into transformational leadership training. I've done that for about 30 years. And most recently, last 13 years, I've been in the real estate space. And most recently, the last 3 or 4 years, I've been training sales professionals, real estate professionals in mindfulness as an access to both achieving peace of mind and business success, which in hustle culture, those two things tend to miss each other.
Exactly. And somehow people think we live in silos, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Right. Like I have a
So, what
business
do you,
life, a work life, and a personal life. You should show me someone who has you have one life. You're one person,
right,
one life.
right. Definitely. So, speaking of that one life, when do you find that people find you or search you out? Like, what are some of the common characteristics of maybe challenges they're experiencing, frustrations, etc.?
Mhm. Mostly they come, I think mindfulness and meditation occurs for most people like a good idea. For me, it lives in the domain of flossing. Like everyone thinks flossing is a good idea. No one's arguing, I don't think flossing works. Everyone thinks flossing works, but very few people do it. Minority people do it. And people come to me, they already think meditation's a good idea. They think mindfulness is a good idea. They'd like to do it, but they haven't. They've tried it, they failed like that. And they're interested in giving up the constant sense of worry that, especially in today's climate, it's really easy to get swirled into worry or angst, division, contempt, sort of negative mind spaces,
Hmm.
and they're just exhausted and they haven't found a way to work that out. And they hear mindfulness and meditation as an opportunity to do that, and they'd like to learn about it without any kind of fluff, without any kind of, oh, I'm going to go sit on a mountaintop. No, no, you're going to meditate in your car in between clients, like that on the court kind of thing.
Definitely. Well, in typically when people have an interest in an area and delve into it and then start teaching it, there was an impetus, right, of something that brought them to that point. What was that for you?
Well, I was at a retreat on vacation with my wife in Napa Valley about in
Mhm.
2023. And I had a momentary insight. I mean, I had 5 deals in escrow, and my kids are grown and they still talk to us, and been married for 28 years. And she's the light of my life to this day. He says, I don't have anyone, I don't have a better friend. So everything's good, except I'm worried. Now I'm from New York and I'm a New York Jew.
Mhm.
And so there's this context of worry that's sort of cultural and like my family grew up with things are never so bad, they can't get worse, kind of. So with some Jaws music in the background. And I noticed
Right.
it stood out in relief against this beautiful setting and everything working in my life. And in a moment, I got this insight like, oh, the game I'm playing here is to get enough.
Mhm.
And then I'll have nothing to worry about. And in the moment of saying it to myself and saying it now, it's like, okay, that's an absurd game. You can't win that game. There is
Right.
no such place as enough. And I thought, well, what should I do? What could I do? And I thought I could, if I didn't have to worry about everything, or I couldn't, what if I could control my thoughts, control my focus? And it revivified my meditation practice. I've been meditating on and off for since I was 20. And it brought some focus on that. I thought, well, meditation's meant to allow you to control your focus. So let me do that. And I started doing that and I fell in love with it. And I got clear that I could train my team in that because the
Mhm.
only thing I could think of training my team in was dialing more. And I was like, I don't want to train them to dial more.
Mhm.
I don't want to dial
The
more. And
numbers game.
yeah, like they could go do, there's a lot of people do that. I don't need to do that. And I thought, but this, I could train them in this. And I got certified as a mindfulness instructor. And halfway through my training, I stopped worrying. Like that jaws, the tension here, the jaws music just stopped. And I thought,
Mhm.
this is good. And I developed a training, 9-week training for my team, just in meditation. And, they increased their sales by 160%. And all
That's
they did was
great.
learn how to meditate. Really, I mean, it seems disconnected, but that is
Mhm.
what happened. And I've been reliable at training other people in those kind of results since then.
Right. So you hear the term meditation a lot.
Yeah.
Is there a specific form that you studied in, or what is meditation to you?
Yeah, the meditation has a certain PR, right? If you think about meditation, you think about emptying the mind, sitting on a mountaintop for hours. And that's not what, I mean, that is a kind of meditation, but that's
Mhm.
not all meditation is.
Right.
So I practice awareness meditation, Vipassana meditation, which is just noticing the breath, some light guided meditations, 10 minutes a day. Um, Not complicated, not, offered for free, offered freely for anyone who wants to get trained in it, because it's as basic of a practice as you can get. My sort of mission is to turn meditation from flossing to brushing your teeth. Like no one misses brushing their teeth. No one's like, I was too busy to brush my teeth today. No, you've never heard anyone say that. After about 6 or 7 years old, you stop saying that. You just brush your teeth. That's how meditation lives for the people I train. They're like, oh, I wouldn't miss that. Wouldn't miss that time.
So what was when you rolled this out, right? Because people are typically adverse to change
Yes.
in varying degrees,
Yeah.
right? We're half early adopters, we're more. How was that to rolling out your team? What did you experience with that?
There's a bunch, well, it depends. So there's a spectrum of woo that people
Hmm.
are on. I see the
Right.
Himalayan salt lamp behind you. Like there's a spectrum of woo that people are on. So the more woo, we're like, yeah, this is good. But the less woo, I was, it's not hard to get the neuroscience behind this. And
Hmm.
once you show people the neuroscience behind meditation, and there's MIT, Harvard, Stanford, Mayo Clinic, 50 years, unprecedented amount of studies on it. Tim Ferriss, who wrote the 4 Hour
Right.
Work Week or the Tools of Titans, in Tools of Titans, discovered that 80% of the world's high performers, billionaires, highest performing people, 80%, no more common practice than a mindfulness practice. And once you tell people that, even the most hardened, like, I give me the ROI of this, right? 80% of the billionaires on the planet have a mindfulness practice. You want to zag while they're zigging, knock yourself out. But that works. So,
Right.
and it's relatively quick, 9 weeks, 10 minutes a day, and you see enough results that it becomes like brushing your teeth.
Definitely. Do you find like a seated meditation best? Do you like walking meditation? Do you teach kind of variety so that people can find one that works for them? Or is there kind of a default that you'd like to teach and then let people experiment? Or how does that work?
Yeah, a great question. I think whatever is going to work for you is what works. You know,
Mhm.
um, it's like the CRM you choose. Like, use the one that works for you. It doesn't matter between any of them. Just
Right.
use the one
Yeah.
you're going to use. So the course that I put together goes through walking, eating, sitting meditations. It gives people an opportunity to try lots of different things so that they can find. And what works today might not work tomorrow. And
Right.
it and it's so the hardest thing, Heather, gosh, the hardest thing to get people to get is be kind to yourself. Whatever works
Mhm.
for you. works for you. There's no right way to do
Mhm.
anything. We're all figuring it out. No one knows what they're doing. There's no manual that came with this life. There's no right way to do anything. There's the way you're doing it. And that's so hard for people to get. But I'll short metaphor for what flips the switch for people on this. Um, when you learned how to walk, do you have kids? Do you ever teach a kid how to walk?
No, I
Well, okay,
haven't.
okay. But you learned how to walk this way.
I'm the 1%, Aaron, without
Right,
children,
no,
but I've
no
got
problem.
great nephews and a
Right.
goddaughter.
But you've seen them learn how to walk. They stand up on their chubby
Right.
little legs, and every time they fall forward, someone cheers. They're like, yes, they're walking.
Hmm.
This is great. They fall on their ass and you cheer anyway. Every single thing they do that moves slightly in the direction of walking, they got a cheer. And everyone learns how to walk. There's no one who's like, I'm not a walker.
Hmm.
But I've yet to meet the adult that treats themselves with 1/100th of that level of grace when they're learning something new.
Right.
And if
Well, and
that's
if you think about it, it's a muscle, right? That one
totally,
is awareness, two then is the choice. Is this something you want to invest time, energy, money in, which is obviously something that you and I both believe in
mhm.
firmly. And I think it's when you're able to start to give yourself that grace and realize that perfection does not exist, then you can apply that in so many different areas. I mean, I think I'm big in running, right? So I love my marathons, and so many people are like, "Oh, I can't run," and the reason why they hate it, I think, so much is because they go from zero to
Yes,
wanting to run 10 miles in their first try, and it's like, well, you know, incremental tiny steps is how you get there. Whether it's learning to walk for the first time, riding your bicycle, becoming an entrepreneur, right, or meditation.
there's no it's
I
and
got connected with it in 2009, and that's where I
meditation.
say
Mhm.
it was my early midlife crisis. I had had a really bad life-altering car accident, and I was trying to find my way through, and I just felt like I was catapulted into someone's life, quite honestly. And I remember, I believe that we are always answered. And I remember just, I'm like, all right, what am I to do next? And I opened a magazine and I remember seeing it was some technology thing. I'm like, that's definitely not it. And then I saw some meditation. I'm like, that's not it either. And then I'm like, no, Heather, you're always answered, right? Sometimes it's in the subtle answers, sometimes it's bigger. And then I was reading through the meditation one and I was like, oh, peacefulness and letting go and all these different things. And I was like, fascinating. So that's how I got my start. It was a year-long Buddhist meditation class,
Right.
which, I had never grown up in that area or knew anyone that was affiliated with something like that, but I went off on the adventure
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, I learned a lot. And so I'm a firm believer you take elements of something and what works for you and you implement it into your tool belt of life, which affects
Totally.
us, right? Life, career, relationships, everything. And to your point of what you said earlier is what works here may not work in a week or maybe it'll be 5 years, but you go with that. And I think through meditation and mindfulness, you develop a really solid relationship to yourself and, whether you want to deem it God, Buddha, universe, insert your term for your
Yeah,
beliefs, that it does connect us to something more.
100%. Just 100%. And
Hmm.
and the ROI, I mean, if you want to get into the business aspect of it, the ROI is incredible because no
Right.
one, there's that thing, I work better under pressure nonsense, but no one works better when they're frenetic, chaotic, and
Hmm.
upset. That's not the way. Calm, grounded, or centered, frenetic. Choose. I mean, no one would choose frenetic.
Right.
But the Buddhists and the Navy SEALs all have a saying, which is you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your preparation.
Very
And
true.
that's, you see in sports, marathon running, basketball, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, if you're
Hmm.
old like me, but you know, people that are clutch aren't clutch because they're rising to the occasion. They're clutch because their preparation is higher than those around them. Their floor is higher because they
Right.
prepared. And meditation, the 10 minutes a day, is the mental preparation for people to succeed in chaotic environments. That's
Right.
what we're talking about. So it's both, you know, I love how you said it. I listened to the subtle voice. Really
Mhm.
important, right? But that's how
Definitely.
you know, but even if you want to be hustle about it, there's an ROI here of slowing down. There's a massive ROI in slowing down that is hidden in hustle culture.
Right. Well, and I think too, everything has its seasons, right? Of being the hot thing, right? Like it's the badge of honor currently if you're working endless hours and right, essentially crawling to your office or to hit the next goal or something like that. And I think one of the areas that I feel very fortunate for having learned early is that there's no guarantee on the number of days you'll have,
That's right.
right? Life has taught me that at a much earlier age even. And I think with that of just it's that barometer of checking in with yourself and it's an individual question and answer. And I always say when you lay your head on the pillow at night,
It's
either
great.
you feel good or there's that thing that's kind of gnawing at you, right?
Yeah,
And it gets louder. And if you choose not to hear it over time, it does dissipate, I think. But then I think that's where people find themselves in that spot of they feel like the bomb went off in their life and they can't identify why. It's like they're numb
yeah,
and they don't know where to draw the line back to.
yeah.
But it's always there. And I agree completely with you, Aaron, of meditation is a great life elixir, really, for finding peace, harmony. And I see it as an anchor. And one other thing, so I'm not jumping in on all of this, is that over the years, and you've been in business longer than me, but what I've noticed over the past, I think I've been working professionally almost 30 years, which seems impossible. But it's the simple little things. And I think Jim Rohn said it. It's easy to do or it's easy not to do.
Yep,
And that is going to define your success in any arena. You do
yep.
the simple, boring things, but that's what's going to give. And that's where you do get your free time and your peace of mind and you scale and you grow and you pay it forward.
100%. You know, Heather, you said that thing about at the end of the night, when you lay your head down on the pillow,
Mhm.
you know, I usually talk to people about there's not one person listening to this that at the end of their time, if they were so lucky to be on a deathbed, if it doesn't all get taken away in an instant, if they're lucky to
Mhm.
reflect, there's not one person listening that's going to think, I can't believe I didn't close that deal. No one's going to
Right.
think that. No one's going to think that. No one's going to think, I
Mhm.
saw too many of my kids' soccer games. No one's going to think that.
Right.
I went on too many trips to Rome. No one's going to have that thought.
Right.
But the day to day, how do we make the most important thing the most important thing? And
Mhm.
that's really where that slowing down comes from. Like, okay, what am I going to give my attention to? The one thing I can control. What am I going to give it to? This, my
Right.
phone blowing up, the most distracting device ever invented for human beings. Am I going to give it to or am I going to enjoy this coffee and the gift
Right.
that this I have water in my toilet cleaner than most of the planet drinks. I'm not,
It's true, isn't it?
it is a fact. So
Yeah.
how come I'm not overwhelmed with gratitude? Because I don't slow down enough
Hmm.
to see it. And that's really where
Right.
mindfulness and meditation make that difference. So at the end of the day, when your head's on the pillow, you are present to the gift that today was and looking forward to the
Right.
gift that tomorrow is.
And wouldn't you say my belief is that a lot of people shudder at the thought of meditation, right? Because I think on the moments where they are in silence, without their phone, without this, that, or the other thing, that I think it can like
Scary.
really cause great anxiety
It
because
can.
it's in the moments of silence, of stillness, when it does get quiet, that that internal barometer appears and it's very large of am I happy or am I not? And then I think because there's so much overwhelm in day to day typically that then they're experiencing that and then it's like, oh my gosh. how do I change this? And you think of all the years of the inputs and investments and this, that, and the other thing. And then you think of identity, and then you think of what will family, friends, coworkers, all these different things. And I think it's like a volcano that in the silence, it really opens things up. And if you're not used to it, that can be really scary. But it's also, I think, is it Byron Katie's work? Is this true? Right? How much of it is
100%.
true and how much of it are you just blowing wind, right?
Is it
Because it's the
useful?
fear of actually seeing it. And then, wow, because if you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right.
And then it means you need to step up and take that step forward and start chiseling away and making changes slowly, but also in a guided fashion. And so I think kind of adding on to this conversation is what erupts with silence, right?
100%, Heather. It's really spot on. I think people, when one of the big hindrances, obstacles, you said, what do people come when they come to the class, what do they come looking for? One of the things that keeps them from coming is the misconception that mindfulness or meditation is about clearing the mind, about having an empty mind. And they say things like, my mind is too active or I'm too scattered, I can't do it. And that's not accurate. What's more accurate is I am uncomfortable with the noise in my head and I can't
Mhm.
be with the volume and the noise. Like you just pointed to the things that I'm saying to myself, the things I'm afraid of, but it all becomes apparent. And the best metaphor I use for this for people is if you've ever trained a puppy, you ever had a puppy and you put them in a box to train them, and their job is to get out of the box. That's what they do, right? They get out of the box. But you just go pick the puppy up and you put it back in the box. You're just like, that's what you do. That's how you train the puppy. You can't train the puppy to stay in the box if it doesn't try and get out. It has to try and get
Right.
out. You have to catch it. You have to put it back, and you're loving and you're kind to the puppy when you put it in the box. And if you
Mhm.
train a puppy really well, you wind up with a well-trained dog, a dog that'll fetch, be your best friend. And I don't know anyone who thinks their brain is their best friend because they haven't
Right.
trained
Depends
their
on the
brain.
moment.
Yeah, but most of it, because we haven't trained our brain. We have a squirrel. We have
Right.
a feral dog in our
Right.
head that just chases whatever it chases because we haven't taken the time to train it. And all
Totally.
meditation is training it. And in the beginning, it's a feral dog. It has, in my case, 63 years, and people's cases, it has a lot of time being feral. All right, so it may take something to train it, but gentle, loving kindness. Let's go back in the box. Go back to the breath, go back to the breath,
Mhm.
go back to the breath. There's never a time where you're not going to, mind's not going to wander. That's not the goal. That's not going to happen. And then you did something brilliant is that you got a teacher to do it. You didn't just try and learn it on an app.
Right.
And if you try and learn it on an app, it's going to be problematic because the person who's judging its effectiveness is the part of you that's judging its effectiveness is the part of you that's out to give up judgment. It's not gonna you're trying to jumpstart a car with no battery. It's not gonna
Mhm.
work. You got to find someone who can listen and guide you in the beginning. The apps are great after you got to practice. I don't think you can start from scratch effectively with an app.
That makes complete sense. What are one or two examples you'd like to share about people that have went through your course of some of their change points of
Sure.
some of the things that really spoke to them and helped them on to their next level?
Well, I have a woman who owns a brokerage here in Seattle uh, who did the course, and she
Mhm.
called me one day and she said, "You know that conversation about loving kindness that you had? I shared something about being loving kind, how loving kindness made a difference for a trip to Costco with for myself. Like
Right.
I was in Costco, and mostly Costco occurs like people in my way, you know. And in I took on the experiment of just when I saw someone, I would just wish them well. May you be well. May you be
Mhm.
happy. And I just got connected to who people were, that these human beings in front of me. These are people with lives,
Mhm.
and I just got it was I'm crying now. It was just it was transformational. It was like it was so connected. And she said, I just did this in Safeway and I'm bawling.
Mhm.
And I'm dealing with all these, and she gave me a list of things she's dealing with in her life. And they all seem so simple now when I get connected to who I am and who people are. And she it seems disconnected, but she tripled the office's business.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it It's like things just look. I've been playing with this thing. You ever see one of these?
Yes.
These are Chinese finger cuffs. And if you put
Yes.
your finger in and now you can't get out, the harder you pull, the less you
Right.
can get out. The only way out
Right.
is to relax. And then your finger
Hmm.
comes right out. That's meditation. We're mostly in life, oh, I got to get the results. Why
Oh
aren't I getting the
yeah. Yeah.
results? Why isn't this working? No, 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 relax. Comes right off. It's comes right, and she got that out of meta. I mean, you practice it with the Buddhists, so I'm sure you've done meta,
Hmm.
and it seems disconnected, and it is disconnected in our day to day. And if you slow down, you you allow yourself to get the connection. I mean, that's why it's so fundamentally important for salespeople because people buy from people they know, like, and trust.
Right.
Well, if you're connected to them as a human being, do you know how many rare that is? I mean, we get happy when
Right.
they get our name right at Starbucks. To
Right.
be with someone who authentically cares about you as a human being, of course they're going to buy from you. Of
Hmm.
course they're going to trust you. It's
Yeah.
so that's just one. I mean, our team did 160%. I've had multiple salespeople
Right.
report they're just more present, more relaxed. If they're with their one woman, she she shared that when she's at home now, she's fully with her family, so that when
Mm.
she's at work, she doesn't have any question about the time she's spending with them. She's fully
Right.
with her customers. Those are, every coach in the world talks about mindset matters, but how do you get it? Oh, here's how you get it. You sit for 10 minutes a day and you watch your breath. Oh, take a minute and just breathe before you go from the car to the house.
Mhm.
You pull up,
Well, and
sit,
wouldn't you?
yeah, like
I'm
that.
sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, 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 no. That's it.
I was going to say, I think too, two things popped up for me. One, when you were giving your initial example of the woman in Safeway, accepting yourself.
Totally.
It's so challenging and yet so simple, right? And I think we all have moments of where we do and other moments of where we reject ourselves and what we've done, this, that, or the other thing, right?
Constantly
Um,
judging and assessing, constantly judging and assessing.
right. And going back to your statement too about sales and working with people, if you're already accepting yourself in that moment, you're not going to be needy and
Commission
desiring
drive.
it from everyone because you'll already be filled from within.
That's right.
And that is a very attractive state. And people also feel that, right? I think there's a lot of things,
100%.
and so much of sales is nonverbal. If you're needy, if you're trying to get something, trying to shove an agenda, right? All of those
We call
different
it
things,
commission
people are
drive.
gonna, exactly. And that's the biggest turnoff. And it's like, even if you originally were interested in talking, it's like done, right?
Done.
Like there's nothing more to um, do
Everyone gives
here.
lip
But
service to that we're in service,
right,
not transaction. We're
right,
in relational business. I don't know one salesperson that says I'm in a transactional relationship. They all say we're in a relationship based business.
right.
Bullshit.
2 ears, one mouth.
It's 2 ears, one mouth. That's right.
Yeah,
Shut up, listen, get
definitely.
interested, get concerned. That's a human being. What,
Yep,
and maybe you don't have the answer for that. Maybe you don't have the thing to offer them.
right, right.
Send
And
them to
sometimes
who
it's just
does.
not the right fit
It's
from a technical standpoint and or skills and personality, right? There's so
at
many different types of
so many different things.
personalities, and you
We
want to
don't
make
have to
sure
pick
everyone is aligned with whomever they need. That's
totally.
the important part.
Yes. You said the
Hmm.
word aligned, and that's really part of why people get more effective is because they find aligned action, and
Hmm.
that's everything.
Definitely.
You're no longer
So
trying to
speaking of
swim
alignment,
upstream. Yeah, good.
how do people connect with you, Aaron?
Oh, well, aaronhendon.com. How's that? Super easy. myname.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. And what I'll do is make sure that my editor includes that at the end so people can see it and click on it. And thank you so much for joining me today and sharing more about your experience with meditation, how it's helped your career and those that you work with.
Heather, thanks so much for having me. Thanks for being a space in which this conversation can happen. It's not common. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that very
Well,
much.
it's my pleasure.